Okay, so now the Bolsheviks have clearly been the ones that were responsible for the fall of the czars. The Bolsheviks have selected Vladimir Lenin as their leader. The next thing really is just to officially seize control of the country and put themselves in charge. The idea that they were going to champion was communism. Now, communism is going to be a combination of the teachings of Marx and Lenin. While Marx is going to be the father of socialism, the Bolsheviks are not 100% going to follow his line of thinking. When you put Vladimir Lenin's political views and you combine that with what Marx taught, if you put the idea, the first way that they started to go away from Marx's idea was creating the socialist revolution. Second way that they're going to go away from it is that they are going to put themselves in charge. Marx never said anything about having a single group in charge. It was supposed to be the people. There was nothing that was ever said about, hey, create a government, set up an economy. Lenin and the Bolsheviks are going to want to do those things. So they're going to start to get away from Marx's original teachings. In doing that, they create what we call communism today. Now, not everybody was going to think that that was the best idea and the best way to go. There were going to be other groups that wanted power as well. So essentially, what you're going to have is a civil war that's going to break out between what we call the Reds, that would be the Bolsheviks, and the Whites, which was going to be basically anybody that didn't agree with the Bolsheviks taking over, anybody else that wanted power for themselves. We said that there were already going to be a lot of people that were buying into what Karl Marx, or I'm sorry, Vladimir Lenin wanted to get across. They also had the support of the military. You put those two things together with the money that they had behind them, and it wasn't going to be there wasn't going to be much of a chance for the whites to really win this war. Ultimately, it's going to last about 4 years. The family of Nicholas II was going to be executed in 1917. By 1921, the Bolsheviks have officially won. They take over control of the country. They're going to set up a government, and they're going to base everything on this idea of communism that they're going to try to instill. It's basically going to be a system where the government is going to hold all of the power. The Communist Party is going to control the government, and ultimately, the government is going to be what is going to be making all of the decisions. When it comes to businesses, the government's going to run most everything. When it comes to what's going to be produced, the government is the one that is going to know what the country needs, so they're going to make all the decisions. When it comes to providing for the people, if you need a job, you go to the government assigns you a job. They're going to tell you where you're going to work, they're going to provide you with housing, and all you have to do is just continue to produce. As long as you are producing, the government is going to provide for you. So by 1922, they've officially established themselves as the head of the government. They've changed the name of the country from Russia to the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, also known as the USSR or the Soviet Union. At that point, they start bringing in countries like Ukraine, Belarus, the Baltic states, among others. Now, that's going to happen in 1922. By 1924, January 21st of 24, Vladimir Lenin actually dies. He had had some assassination attempts. He had had a stroke, and he's actually only head of the Soviet Union for 2 years. But because he's the first, if Karl Marx is seen as the father of socialism, Vladimir Lenin is going to be the father of the Soviet Union and communism. So he is going to die in 1924, and even though he doesn't rule for very long, he's obviously revered. He's somebody that is really, really important. So, being that is the case, they do some very special things once he dies. The next video can show you.